have a negotiation going on right now with the Democrats that could lead to very good things.
What kind of
and I'm talking about good things with regard to health care. We are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care.
For more, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, good to see you. What specifically is the president referencing there?
Hey, Rob, good to be with you. I talked to the president this afternoon, I think right before he made those comments, and what we were discussing is the truth that I articulated for the whole country this morning in my press conference, and that is Republican Party doesn't just talk about improving health care, we're actually doing it. We had a big portion of the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, that addressed the fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid and some of the other programs, and we are bringing ideas forward to make sure that we reduce the cost of health care, expand coverage and accessibility and quality of care. The president is laser focused on doing that. He wants to be the healthcare president, as he is for all these other matters, and he's the one to do it. So we have lots of ideas. There are some Democrats on Capitol Hill, believe it or not, who are trying to apply common sense. They don't want to shut the government down. They're trying to get out of this trap, and they're bringing us ideas on things that we might be able to resolve. But all of that comes after they vote to reopen this government, and that's what we've got to be insistent about. And as you know, just about 2 hours ago, they voted for the 5th time, Senate Democrats, to close down the government on the people. Okay, let me ask you, because the longer it goes, the more serious it gets. Troops, TSA, Border Patrol, and that's just the start. The longer the shutdown lasts, and they're going to miss getting paid on October the 15th, no matter what happens. How concerned are you that the longer this goes, the more the public start to blame Republicans? There's some polling out there right now that I think we have that does suggest that that's already happening. Well, I'm not surprised by some of those polls, because the mainstream and legacy media is completely on the side of the Democrats. I mean, they're repeating their false talking points. And so that's why myself, Leader Thune, and other Republicans are having to go direct. We're having these daily press conferences to explain the truth. The facts are on our side. Look, this is very simple. Republicans did the right thing. We did the work in the House. We passed a simple, clean resolution. It's 24 pages in length. It's very simple, just to keep the lights on so that we can have the negotiation on the rest of government funding bills. Let me ask you this, Mr. Speaker. Try to pass it in the Senate. Just in the interest of time, sorry to cut you off, sir. Do you believe that Democrats actually want to reopen the government soon? Because I'm not convinced they do. I think for them, they think this is a great way to stop the Trump administration in its tracks, which of course is not going to happen no matter what happens on Capitol Hill. I can tell you that there's a number of Senate Democrats that are terrified of the situation. They have painted themselves into a corner. They do not want the government shut down because they know real people are experiencing real pain, and they'll ultimately be blamed for it because we're going to continue to put them on the record. It's Democrats voting to shut the government down. Republicans are voting to open it. The facts are the facts. As John Adams said, facts are stubborn things. So I think the longer this drags on, I think people will look to see who's actually casting those votes, and they can't hide from it. I think they want a way out, but they're terrified of the far left fringe of their base. The Marxists are rising up. They're about to elect a mayor in New York City, believe it or not. And Chuck Schumer's from New York. He's terrified he's going to get a Marxist challenge from his left flank in his next Senate re-election bid, and that is what is motivating all of their strategy now. But Mr. Speaker, you know that Chuck Schumer's got an AOC problem no matter how long the government stays shut down. She is going to primary and run against him in 2028, no matter what happens with this shutdown. Ralph Norman, your colleague, I think you may have shared this, but a Republican from South Carolina wants to ban paychecks for members of Congress during all future shutdowns, but with no back pay. Do you support something like that? I haven't heard that idea, but there's a lot of ideas on the table. We've got to change the way this is done. Does that make sense, though? Because that might incentivize members not to shut the government down. Yeah, look, I think we need every incentive possible to make sure this doesn't happen, but the adults, the responsible people in the room are doing the right thing. We had every Republican but one, I think, voted to keep the government open in both chambers. And we'll continue to do that. I mean, we always do the responsible thing. It's the far left that's causing the problems. And again, they're inflicting real pain on real people. It's not just troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents. You've got veterans health services that are being stalled. You have the Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program that's being stalled. You've got FEMA services for flood insurance policies that can't be issued in the middle of a hurricane season. This is serious. It's not a game, and Chuck Schumer is making it a political game, and they've got to make it stop.
Take a listen, Mr. Speaker, to AOC on illegal aliens having access to free health care coverage.
The fact of the matter is undocumented people do not and cannot access and be covered by the ACA, Medicaid, Medicare, period. There are dozens of laws in the books that enforce that, and that can be a whole other conversation. However, the fact is the Democratic proposal doesn't change that either. We are trying to change the immediate cliff where the ACA, as well as community health center funding and other kinds of healthcare funding, are about to go off a cliff and hurt millions of people.
Can you clear up for everyone at home how much of this is actually about that issue right there? Because I know Republicans are calling it the Schumer shutdown. I think you could easily call it the illegal alien shutdown.
Yes, of course. And I know this will be shocking to your viewers, but AOC has not read the legislation that her party filed, okay? It's page 57, section 2141. You can pull it, go to speaker.gov. I made it easy. It's right there for you. You can see the bill they filed would 100% restore health care paid for by taxpayer dollars to illegal aliens. The calculation is about $200 billion. She hasn't read the legislation, and I'm not sure she would understand it even if she did. Now, the subsidy thing she's talking about is not even an issue of today. It is a end-of-the-year funding matter. That funding expires December 31st.
Yeah.
In December. It's a red herring. They're trying to make that part of the issue of the stopgap funding measure, and it's apples to oranges. I'm not even honestly sure if AOC understands that. She says it with such passion, but she is so wrong on literally everything she just said there.
Mr. Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries challenged you to a televised debate, which I would watch. Yeah. Are you considering that?
Yeah. No, here's what's happened. Hakeem is the Democrat leader in the House. He's flailing. The House has done our work. We already had this debate. We did it on the floor. He came down and debated it a couple of weeks ago, and they lost. We passed a bipartisan short-term CR. The show is in the Senate in the other chamber right now. The last thing I would do when he's polling 13% is give him a big platform. We would clean his clock, but we've already done that.
Okay, so you would do it, but you're not going to right now. You don't want to give him the platform. Just quickly, because I've only got a couple seconds. Do you think it ends this week, and when does that happen?
I hope it ends this week, but I'm doubtful. I think they're going to drag this out a little bit further to try to make this point. But the more pain that is felt by the American people, the greater the pressure will be turned up for them to fold, and they're going to have to do it eventually.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, we appreciate all the time tonight. Thanks for being with us.